Told you it was true, from a certain point of view.
A prophecy that misread could have been.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Unlearn what you have learned.
Hey there, my fellow Jedi and Padawan friends. Today we are going to begin a series of reaction videos, kind of looking back at the last 2 years. What are the top popular theories going into Star Wars Episode VIII, The Last Jedi, about Luke, Kylo Ren, Poe, Finn, Rey, Snoke? Okay, we're going to look at the top theories, and you're going to get my reaction and a little bit of commentary, maybe even a little bit of theorizing myself as we go. And so have fun as you join us. If you want to be entered into a drawing to win a gift card of your choice for $20, here's how you do it. You click on the subscribe button, and in your comments, you're going to say what your Facebook name is. And the reason is because you're also going to need to share this video on social media. That's all you have to do. So today is Snoke is Mace Windu, Star Wars Theory by Vincent Vendetta. And I have to say, when I'm looking at the top videos in the theories for Star Wars Episode VIII, this guy is near the top several times, and we'll probably get to several of his videos as we do this.
Some of the crazy conspiracy theorists who believe in some or all of this theory include people like Samuel L. Jackson, John Boyega, and even George Lucas. In a recent Twitter Q&A, Samuel Jackson said that he believes Mace Windu is alive.
The only person left to kill that would mean anything in Episode 3 would be me. I was trying to figure out, really? Can't you just, like, injure me and whatever? But in my mind, I'm not dead. Jedis can fall incredibly high distances and not die.
You hope Mace Windu's still alive?
Of course he is.
That's a long drop.
Jedis can fall from amazing distances, and there's a long history of one-armed, one-handed Jedis.
That's
true.
So
have you had
why
any
not?
talks with anyone about that?
No, only George.
Well, what did he have to say?
George
Even with
is like,
nothing to do.
hey, I'm okay with that. Yeah, you can be alive.
So he's like laying low like Obi-Wan. He's just laying low while the dark side's taking over.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson has also stated dozens of times that he very much wants to be in the new Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I'd like to be in the new Star Wars. I'd love to be a part of it. I want to be in Star Wars now, too, when JJ Star Wars. I mean, come on.
And even John Boyega has stated that he believes in some conspiracy theories involving Finn, and that there's a lot more to the characters in The Force Awakens than meets the eye.
There's no way that our stories are so simple. I've still got some conspiracy theories. I was at a party and someone behind me just tapped me on the shoulder and was just like, "Yo, Black Jedi!" I turned around, it was Samuel Jackson. He's like, "You my son!"
So why not? If you're going to talk about Windu being Snoke, why not at the same time just throw out that Finn is the descendant of Mace Windu? Makes sense, right?
So first of all, we need to establish that Mace Windu didn't actually die in Revenge of the Sith and is still alive in the new trilogy. So let's break down the Mace Windu versus Palpatine fight scene. Let's start with Anakin cutting off Mace Windu's arm. Well, everyone knows that getting your arm cut off in Star Wars has never been a lethal injury. Dozens of Jedi have had their arms cut off and lived. Secondly, he's hit with the full power of Palpatine's Force lightning. While this clearly would injure and scar Mace Windu, it almost definitely didn't kill him. For one, Mace Windu makes a grunting sound when he goes flying out of the window. so we know he's still alive after being hit with the lightning. Also, Force lightning has never killed anyone in any previous Star Wars movies. Palpatine hit Luke and Yoda with the Force lightning and didn't kill either of them.
I just have to say, I totally agree with that point because I've been playing Battlefront and Battlefront 2, and Emperor Palpatine is really a horrible character to play with.
Count Dooku hit Anakin with the Force lightning and he didn't die, and even when the full power of Palpatine's Force lightning was deflected back onto himself, the lightning didn't kill him either. And lastly, Mace Windu is shot out of the window and falls from a great height. But as Samuel Jackson has said, Jedi can fall from great heights and be completely fine. In fact, no Jedi has ever died from a fall in any of the Star Wars movies yet. And Jedis have fallen from even higher than Mace did. Even Anakin fell hundreds of feet in the same city of Coruscant and landed on a car completely safe. So of course Mace Windu, a Jedi Master, would be able to land safely. Now you might be thinking, Snoke looks nothing like Mace Windu. He's old, he has ghostly white skin, he's scarred all over his face, etc. But when you think about it, that's exactly how Mace Windu would look when you account for everything that has happened to him. The first being he was hit with the full power of Palpatine's Force lightning. And when the exact same lightning was deflected by Mace Windu onto Palpatine's own face, Palpatine's skin turned from a normal flesh color to a ghostly white. It also severely disfigured, scarred, and burnt Palpatine's face beyond recognition. And that's exactly what it did to Mace Windu as well. It disfigured his face, changed his skin to a pale, ghostly white, burnt and severely scarred Mace Windu, just like it did with Palpatine. Snoke also looks very old and even says that he's been alive to see the Galactic Empire rise and fall.
I watched the Galactic Empire rise and then fall.
So he's been alive since the prequels, which makes sense if he's Mace Windu. Mace Windu was alive in the prequels to see the Empire rise and fall, and would now be an old, fragile man. And as for Mace Windu's lost arm, he clearly would have a lifelike mechanical arm just like some other Jedis who've lost an arm. And the scar on his head could be from hitting his head during the fall on Coruscant. And it is worth mentioning that they are both bald as well. Before we get into Mace Windu's motives, we need to establish that he isn't as good and innocent as you might think. In fact, Mace Windu uses more of the dark side than probably any other Jedi. You may not have noticed, but Mace Windu uses a badass purple lightsaber. Along with it being cool and all, it also symbolizes Mace Windu's balance of both the dark and the light side of the Force, as blue and red combined make purple. In fact, Mace Windu is one of the only Jedis to use Vapad, a Force state of mind that allows the user to channel his own inner darkness into a duel. This means that when Mace Windu fights, he uses the dark side of the Force, but he tries to control and balance it so it doesn't completely overtake his emotions. And you can definitely notice this whenever he fights. He cuts off Jango Fett's head and was about to kill Palpatine when even Anakin said it was not the Jedi way to just kill Palpatine without a trial. And Snoke is very much obsessed with the balance of the dark and the light side of the Force as well. Snoke even chose to train Ben Solo specifically because he has both the dark and the light side of the Force within him. Snoke even states this in the official Force Awakens novel.
What you are made of. The dark side and the light.
And in the trailer for the movie.
The dark side and the light.
So if Snoke is Mace Windu, he could see himself in Kylo Ren since they both balance both the dark and the light side of the Force.
Everything that he's saying is technically true. Mace Windu got George Lucas to agree that he was still alive. And then, Jedis do fall from incredible heights and they don't die. And Force lightning doesn't really kill anybody in Star Wars. And all of these things. And he did use the purple saber, which does have a combination of the red and the blue. And all of those things are very much true. But two things that he's kind of ignoring here, which I think I'm going to save to the end.
So why exactly would Mace Windu turn to the dark side? Well, as we know, he's already delicately balancing the dark and the light side of the Force, so all it would take is a strong enough push to send him to one side or the other, and being betrayed by Anakin could certainly be the push that was needed. Mace Windu would also have a vendetta against the Skywalkers, as Anakin Skywalker betrayed him, cut off his arm, and allowed Palpatine to scar, disfigure, and almost kill him. So this could be one of the main reasons why he wants to find Luke to kill off the Skywalker bloodline as revenge.
That's an interesting little twist that he throws in there. And you can see where that would kind of make sense, why Windu would want to kill Luke and would turn against, everything that he ever stood for before.
He would also want to enact revenge on the Palpatine lineage too, since Emperor Palpatine almost killed him, and if the theory is true that Rey is Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter, he would want to kill her as well, as she is the last of Palpatine's bloodline.
A theory dependent upon another theory. That's a good way to get us way down deep in the rabbit hole.
Which would also explain why he's so interested in finding Rey. There's also an amazing fan theory that suggests Mace Windu thinks he himself was the chosen one and not Anakin. It explains why he tries to stop Anakin from being trained in the first place, why he's always mean to Anakin, and even tries to stop him from gaining the rank of Master on the Jedi Council. Also, the prophecy for the Chosen One even explains that the Chosen One will bring balance to the Force, and Mace Windu learned to balance the Force perfectly with VIII. He has a purple lightsaber to symbolize his balance of the Force, and he was about to kill Palpatine, the last remaining Sith.
So just so we're clear, the whole purple lightsaber thing was because Samuel L. Jackson wanted to be cool and different and have a different colored lightsaber. And then now we have to deal with, in canon and lightsaber colors, and they choose with their master and all the balance and all that stuff. And that's just a recent thing, but that's just the reality, folks.
So he could still believe he is the chosen one and wants to kill the remaining Skywalkers because they challenge his belief that he is the chosen one and not one of them. Even Han Solo knows he plans on killing Kylo Ren, who is of the Skywalker bloodline as well, when he's finished using Kylo Ren for his powers. Mace Windu, like some other Star Wars characters, has a signature lightsaber move that pretty much only he seems to use. It's a move that makes him unique, a move that he uses in every fight we see him in. That move is a backswing slicing move. He even cuts off Jango Fett's head with it and uses the move multiple times when fighting Emperor Palpatine. Well, there's actually one more Star Wars character we see using that move, Kylo Ren. We see Kylo Ren use the backswing slicing move multiple times in The Force Awakens. In fact, he uses it at least 3 times when fighting Rey, and even more times if you count some of these. So why would Kylo Ren be using Mace Windu's signature move? Well, if Mace Windu is Snoke, then he would have taught Kylo Ren this deadly attack when training him in the dark side.
Okay, the whole backwards slash move with Mace Windu and Kylo Ren, that's the first time I've ever heard that or seen that. It's kind of similar and reminds me of the whole dependence upon the thrust of Rey and following the Palpatine style is the theory that he just mentioned actually a minute ago, that Rey is actually Palpatine's daughter or granddaughter or whatever. So that was kind of interesting, but it's still kind of weak because people can have similar fighting styles without being related to each other.
One of the most interesting aspects of this theory points out that Finn may actually be the son of Mace Windu, aka Snoke. But before we can get into why and how, you first need to know that Finn is definitely Force sensitive. First of all, when Snoke says to Kylo Ren, "There has been an awakening, have you felt it?" he's actually referring to the Force awakening in Finn, not Rey. Specifically, the moment when Finn decides to change to the light side.
Okay, I am getting so lost in the theory being built upon theory upon theory upon theory thing that it's getting way out of control here. Okay, so let's just stop here and let's deal with the Snoke thing. Okay, Windu is not Snoke for two main reasons. Snoke is a humanoid, not human. Windu is human. So he's not Snoke. And also, it's been told to us at this point, Snoke is a new character. Okay, so unless they somehow make that true from a certain point of view, he's not Snoke. Okay, so Samuel L. Jackson's going to have to figure out another way to get into the trilogy, and maybe that is through Finn. Maybe he is Finn's father. But the Finn awakening thing, if Snoke is Windu and then Finn is awakened because Snoke is Windu, and yet that causes him to defect. And then the whole thing about if he is a traitor because he is Snoke's son and he left, then what in the world does that say about Kylo Ren and him? How is he not a traitor for leaving the Resistance, leaving Luke's side in the Jedi path to go join Snoke? I think that's the biggest hypocritical line, so I just had to get that out there.
While on the battlefield on Jakku, we know this because the scene where Snoke says there has been an awakening was at about 50 minutes into the movie. This is actually way before Rey shows any Force abilities at all, since the first time we see Rey use the Force was in Maz Kanata's castle during her Force vision, but that was almost 20 minutes later into the movie. And the scenes where Rey reads Kylo Ren's mind, does a Jedi mind trick, etc., were all nearing the end of the movie. The only thing that happens before Snoke says there has been an awakening was Finn deciding not to kill for the First Order anymore and changing to the light side when on Jakku, and even Kylo Ren noticed the Force awakening in him when he glared at him. Finn then helped Poe Dameron escape and helped Rey and BB-8 escape. There's also like 10 other reasons why Finn is Force sensitive, but this video is already long enough, so you can watch my Finn Awakens video after this one if you want to hear more on this theory. So since Finn is Force sensitive, his parents are likely to be Force sensitive as well. And if Mace Windu is still alive, and Mace Windu is Snoke, it just makes sense that Finn would be his son.
So if this A happened, then B must be true. And if B is true, then A certainly is true. And that makes C also true over here. Wow, that's a lot of conditions that you're putting. And if it's all true, then great theory. Otherwise, way too much circular reasoning going on here.
Theory is that Snoke was disappointed that Finn didn't portray very much potential with the Force as a child. So he basically disowned Finn and searched for a child that was gifted in the Force, like Ben Solo. But he didn't want to completely abandon Finn, as he might end up being of some use later on. So Snoke decided to make him a stormtrooper, that way he can keep an eye on Finn and ensure he stays aligned with the First Order. And who better to keep an eye on Finn than Kylo Ren? This would explain why Finn's first mission is such a high-profile one, going with Kylo Ren to Jakku. And as we learn later on, Finn was a sanitation worker before while on Starkiller Base. So him being on a mission with Kylo Ren is a little suspicious. This also explains why when Finn decides not to fight for the First Order anymore and is standing on the battlefield on Jakku, Kylo Ren suspiciously glares at him before going into his ship. Kylo Ren noticed that the Force awakened in him at that moment. It also
I think that's a good point, and that's something that it wasn't really explained. Why is Kylo Ren looking at Finn? Is he sensing something more than just, oh, this guy is doing something different than what we asked him to do? I also just want to point out, if Snoke is the dad of Finn and it's Windu, then what kind of dad places his Force-sensitive son as sanitation manager?
also explains why later on, when Kylo Ren is told that a stormtrooper helped Poe Dameron escape, Kylo Ren instantly knows that the stormtrooper was Finn.
We're checking the registers now to identify which stormtrooper it was.
The one from the village, FN 2187.
So, yes, this is another thing that comes out. But at the same time, if you can explain why Kylo is looking at Finn over on Jakku, you can explain how he knew which one it was. He knew exactly which trooper it was. We saw him look over at him and suspiciously.
Kylo Ren knows that Finn is Force-sensitive and the son of Snoke, so he's very likely to make his own decisions and rebel against orders. Kylo Ren also goes absolutely berserk when he is told that Finn helped Rey and BB-8 escape Jakku, because this just ensures even more that Finn is betraying not only the dark side, but Snoke as well. And all while Kylo Ren is supposed to be watching over him.
We have no confirmation, but we believe FN 2187 may have helped in the escape.
Not to mention, the film seems to really focus on Finn's betrayal, like when the stormtrooper angrily calls him a traitor, then tries to kill him, which makes it seem like there's a little more to his betrayal than meets the eye. And finally, when Kylo Ren and Finn meet at the end of The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren is very angry about Finn's betrayal, and seems to take it extra personally. You can really hear it in his voice when he screams, "Traitor!" Traitor! But when Kylo Ren then fights Finn, he chooses to toy with him instead of just killing him. And when Kylo Ren is finally hit by Finn, he chooses to punch Finn and cut his back instead of easily killing him. Kylo Ren killed his own father, cut the old man at the start of The Force Awakens in half, and has a table of the ashes of the people he's killed. Yet he decides to keep Finn alive, because Finn is still very important to Snoke and the dark side. So there you have it. It's a pretty crazy theory, but even if it doesn't come true, you have to admit it's an interesting piece of fan fiction at the very least. If you have any ideas that can add to this theory, please comment them down below. I'm also going to comment down below some ideas on how Captain Phasma could play into all this. Also, if you haven't already seen it, I made another video going into detail on how Finn is definitely Force sensitive, so feel free to watch that video after this one. And if you want to see even more fan theories, I upload videos like these all the time, so click subscribe so you get notified when I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
Fulfill your destiny.
I encourage you, if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share this video with others and this channel with others. It helps every time you do that. It actually helps the channel out financially, and it helps us to grow and get in front of others.